Tunggu sekejap. Tunggu sekejap sebab dia tak live lagi. Tunggu sekejap. Where is it? For a while. Sorry, yo. Suara aku clear kan? Boleh dengar kan? Dia punya sound rate kuat sangat lah. Aku lupa nak tekan start apa. Option Oh ya, option. Sorry. Minum teh ais. Kau teh ais pun. Teh ais. Sekarang semalam kita sambung ni Take me to hospital lah. Semalam kita sambung ni. Boh, hang tak cakap ni kuat. Aku tak dengar pun. Sorry. Confirm bunyi echo kan. Alhamdulillah. Ambat sikit lah Ustaz. So, esok sekolah, apa pendapat anda? Homework banyak tak ada lah. Homework tak banyak pun kot. Okay, Pembroke Hospital. Yo, tengok cam aku buat lawak. Time ni juga dia nak vanish, vanish. Lawak sungguh. Tunggu jap. Wow, cam. What is your problem, mate? What is your problem? Aduh, cam aku masih on tau sekali. Cuma aku tak nampak muka aku pun. So, tunggu jap. Yup. Oh, dia ada balik tak? Tunggu jap. Dia macam tengah loading. Hayya. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Come on. Tunggu sekejap ya. Aku punya cam tak on lah. Aduh. Hai, kenapa lah time life. Come on. Bismillah. Come on cam. Oh Allah, dia tak nak on lah. Panas eh? Mungkin enggak. Tunggu sekejap. Tiup-tiup sikit. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Come on, come on. Tolong ah. Yes. Oh. Let's go. Tunggu jap. Aku semalam tu bukan semalam kot. Yes. Kau nampak tu. Mana pistol? 72, 65, 99. Wah. Offhand. Oh, dah. Revolver. Stun. Aku rasa stun lagi bagus. Serum. Oh, serum tak ada. Kita try dulu Aku semalam tengok YouTube. Rupanya kena tengok situ je. Ini pillar yang semalam. Ini yang rakyat show. Ingat kan? Okey, mantap. Kita sambung. Okey, soundtrack dia. Aduh, tukar version set. Audio. Master voice music. Macam tu lah. Tiga je. Tak kuat sangat. Kita nak dengar bunyi cam. Bukan bunyi tu. Tengok. My cam buat lawak lagi ni. Koyak. Mungkin tiba masanya untuk menukar ke PS5. Tak tahulah. Sebab aku punya PS1 ni dia dah macam mana buat. Walaupun dah off lama, tadi aku baru on je ni, dah panas lah. So aku punya ni pun ikut panas sekali. Dia punya wire semua. Habis lah. Yang cam ni tarik on. Panas. So now I have problem. Okay, now dia ada balik. Confirm. Okay. Aku buat balik. Okay. Bismillah. So now enter the Pembroke Hospital. Yo.
Doctor, where have you been? I've little time to play hide and seek with new staff members, no matter how illustrious they may be.
I apologize, nurse. I needed some time to myself. This has been the longest and strangest night of my life.
You delivered poor Mr. Hampton from a terrible fate. The means to that end should be of little concern, Doctor.
Thank you, nurse. What can I do for you?
Dr. Swansea insisted we provide you a quiet office. You'll find it on the second floor with your name on the door.
Thank you. Nurse Crane, isn't it?
Yes, Dorothy Crane. Welcome to Pembroke Hospital, Dr. Reed. Your office has been prepared.
Oh, aku datang dah ada office.
I would like to ask a few questions first. And Mr. Hampton, the patient we brought in, how does he fare?
I gave him a sedative to help him sleep. Poor thing was in quite a state of shock.
Shock Yalah. Tengok kau Muiz yang tukar jadi macam serigala. It's Dr. Swansea.
What kind of man is Dr. Swansea?
Well, you accepted the job from him. I thought you would have known about your employer.
Shoot.
It's right to assume Dr. Swansea knows far more about me than I do about him.
You'll get to know him soon enough, and better than me. The administrator has better things to do than mix with us.
Okay.
Apologies, I've only just met him the once. This is sudden. I've only just returned to England.
Dr. Swansea is a brilliant surgeon and the most compassionate physician.
Back. Where's my room?
If you could point me in the direction of my room again, nurse.
Second floor of the hospital, left after the stairs. It's the last vacant office at the end of the corridor.
Okay, goodbye.
Thank you, Nurse Crane.
Thank you, Nurse Crane. Oh, apa ni? This hospital can no longer take any patients. Hospital full. Please go back home. Go back home. Jangan datang lagi. So, hospital dah penuh. Ni siapa? Whoa, I don't want to talk to you lah. Yes.
So it is true. The famous Dr. Reed has joined us. I can't think of any better news during these terrible times.
Do we know each other?
Actually, yes. We met once before, at the Rockefeller
once.
University in New York.
Dr. Tippett, yes, I remember. I was assisting Professor Carell in his research about coronary bypasses. He had nothing but praise for you.
He was also very confident about your future. And look at you now. Eminent surgeon and blood transfusion specialist.
Your life in London. Okay, what's the show here? Tell me about the stuff.
What can
Sorry,
you
I
tell
give
me about
banyak
the
sembah
staff
sikit.
in the hospital?
Some are really good, and others are not so good. But during this troubled period, there is no time for slander. I prefer to focus on the positive character traits.
Any opinion about the management?
I don't always agree with Dr. Swansea's reserve, but I must admit he does all he can to keep this facility running during this crisis.
Ah, yes, the burden of command. I was fed up with this concept while serving as a medical officer.
Don't get me wrong. Swansea's a good administrator. I just wish he would get out of his office now and again.
Tell me more about cherished people, then.
Nurse Brannigan is a pearl. She is the most helpful and dedicated nurse I've ever worked with. A clever and cheerful woman.
You really seem to admire her skills.
I'll go even further. If she was a man,
Siapa tu?
she would be a
Brannigan.
damn fine practitioner.
She was... Oh, memang kena cakap pun. Kalau tak cakap macam tu, tak dapat maklumat. You know.
What is the Pembroke Hospital situation? And
The flu.
please, speak freely.
This hospital is not exactly the best of London. I'm sure you are used to working in a better environment.
It's more than enough. In any case, the personnel of a hospital are much more important to me than the building.
Don't be misled by appearances, Dr. Reed. This hospital does not lack talented people. It
Asal
just
muka mamat dia
lacks
macam vampire ke? Oh, tak ditanya pun ya tu, okay.
Goodbye, Dr. Tippett.
Goodbye, Dr. Tippett. Aku ni makan ni kan? Oh, siapa tu? Kau ke? Oh, aku lagi kat dia. Kau dulu tak?
Good evening, nurse. I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed, the new surgeon here at the Pembroke.
Dr. Swansea has already told us about you, sir. I'm Nurse Gwyneth Brannigan. Welcome to the Pembroke Hospital.
Did he really? It's a good thing I wasn't hoping to keep a low profile.
All members of staff have already read about your new blood transfusion technique. Dr. Swansea made sure of that.
I see. Well, I'm a little surprised, but I suppose I'll just have to deal with this unexpected notoriety.
You must know, blood transfusions are Dr. Swansea's primary subject of research. He is convinced it is the future.
Ini sama kan? Berapa
I'm
tanya
not
pun
familiar
dia sama.
with all the staff yet. Perhaps you could
Yeah.
help me.
Brilliant professionals, most of them. Dr. Swansea has a gift for
Boleh lah.
recruiting talent.
Most of them. Is there a problem I should know about, nurse?
It would be inappropriate for me to speak ill of a colleague.
Speak up.
Nurse Brannigan, if you do know something, please tell me. Anything you say will be held in confidence.
No. I may disagree with some conduct, but in the end, everybody is doing their best.
Is there anyone that stands out?
Well,
Kau faham dia?
I have never met someone as dedicated as Dr. Tippett. He should be a standard for us all here. If only he were younger.
Why should his age be a problem?
I guess it's fair to say he's always pushing himself to the limits. He just doesn't know when to stop and get some
Ya,
rest.
dia pandang mana perempuan ni? Asal dia tak... Oh, dia pandang aku. Okay. Mata dia. Okay.
How are things here?
Not good, to say the least. We're struggling against an invisible enemy, more
Invisible?
lethal than any bullet from a gun. It's hard, Doctor.
An invisible enemy. Quite a poetic term for a disease, especially from a nurse.
Sorry, Doctor. These last few weeks have been exhausting. We could all do with a good night's sleep.
Do you think this hospital can survive the epidemic?
We are all volunteers here, and we're trying to hold fast, but how do we beat an invisible killer? Some nurses have already resigned.
Dah resign dah. Personal question dah kan?
Why does Dr. Tippett claim you're the main reason he keeps working, despite his fatigue?
If it wasn't for him, I probably would have left the Pembroke years ago.
Dr. Tippett does not think of you as just a nurse anymore, does he?
If you're suggesting he's not taking my gender into consideration when it comes to medical practice and knowledge, I really hope he doesn't.
Apalah kem aku je tu. Oh, mungkin warna hijau weh. Tunggu jap. Betul. Dia ingat green screen. Okay. Dia ingat green screen. Aduh. Ni dah. Ada yang lah, tak ada kan?
Goodbye, nurse. Call me if you need assistance.
Call me if you need assistant. Aku terang. Kenapa aku tak dimakan je? Siapa ni? Takkan semua aku nak kena tanya? Tak tanya, mampus kau. Tak apa lah. Tak nak. Oh, itu aja dia masuk dia. Bukan, okay, sorry. Nah, kita tanya juga ke siap.
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed. I'm new here.
I've already heard about you, Dr. Reed. I'm Milton Hooks, the ambulance driver for this shithole of a hospital.
That's quite a blunt introduction, Mr. Hooks.
You can call me Milton. I like to speak my mind, Dr. Reed. Perk of the job. Don't judge me, and I won't judge you.
I'm not sure I understand what you're talking about.
Well, I'm no doctor, but I'm pretty sure a gun can't be used as a surgical instrument.
You have a keen eye. I learned to shoot during the war, and have carried one ever since. Old habits die hard.
No need to explain, Dr. Reed. And if you ever need a better gun, remember, I may have something for you.
So what do you do exactly in this hospital? Apart from smuggling guns, I mean.
I've been an ambulance driver since... too long, I guess. I bring sick people here night and day. It's a dirty job, but I get it done. Most of the time.
It sounds like things have been a bit rough recently. What's happened?
Yesterday I got attacked by the patient I was bringing here. I escaped through the hospital's garden, but I lost my wallet when I was running.
You left an infected patient outside the hospital? That's incredibly dangerous.
Go there yourself if you want, but be careful, Doctor. I'd rather not bring your dead body back.
Let me see. Press open locker. Jap. Okay. And then participate here. By the street, you can start a news here. But clicking on you. To look it up. Then map to look at the area to explore. Nak track ke? Track lah. Driver. Oh, ambulance driver dia ni. Okay. Ni ada apa? So aku terlepas lah kat sini. Dekat mana ni? The docks. So aku terlepas. Nampak sepatutnya ada macam ni. Tak apa.
Since you're on the front line, how is the sanitary situation in this vicinity?
It's a complete disaster. It's even getting dangerous to enter some streets or buildings. Even the locals attack you.
Aku nak tanya
Are you
persoalan.
really smuggling weapons through the hospital?
And why not? I've already been attacked by patients, you know. And by gang members willing to steal my money.
But you're not defending yourself. You're selling guns to civilians.
You keep people alive your own way, Doctor. I offer them another way to protect their health.
So what do you do exactly in this hospital? Apart from smuggling guns, I mean.
I've been an ambulance driver since... too
Aku
long, I
salah
guess.
tekan.
I bring sick people here night and day. It's a dirty job, but I get it done. Most of the time.
Yep.
Since you're on the front line, how is the sanitary situation in this vicinity?
It's a complete disaster. It's even getting dangerous to enter some streets or buildings. Even the locals attack you.
How is the situation around here?
You want to hear the situation is all right? It's fucking awful. We lack everything.
Fucking
And it's
awful.
getting worse every day.
Okay,
Goodbye,
goodbye.
Milton.
Okay. Oh, ada lah. Ya, asal dia suruh aku pandang situ. Apa masalah? Oh, no lah. No. Start at the... of the flu epidemic. Ni tahu. Flu bukan... flu tu ni kan? Flu tu ni kan? 1930.
Dr. Swansea is right.
Bukan lama,
This
lama
place
lagi.
seems
18 kan?
perfect to conduct
Tahun
my
18 kan?
research.
Kau buat apa? Kau bully dia kesian sah perempuan ni. Oh, flu. Lupa. Dah kena
Good
pakai
evening,
mask.
nurse.
Good evening, Doctor. I don't think we've been introduced yet. My name is Pippa Hawkins.
And I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed.
Aku kena tanya
Dr.
kat
Swansea
setiap
has
orang lah.
recently offered me a position in this
Sebab
hospital.
Well,
kan macam
it's
tadi
a
tu.
euphemism that your help will be appreciated, Doctor.
How
apa
long
ni?
have you been a nurse?
Well, long enough to see that the epidemic is winning. And no matter how qualified you are, don't tell me you'll change that.
You're right. When dealing with such a terrible disease, one must remain humble. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't try our best.
Sorry, Doctor. I don't want to sound bitter, but I'm just too tired to give a pep talk like Nurse Brannigan.
Kan ni kau
How
apa
would you
jawab sama?
describe the situation at the Pembroke Hospital?
It's
Oh, wow.
serious. The flu is wreaking havoc amongst the staff and
Kejap lagi cam
patients.
aku on balik. Okay,
We
baru
are
buka.
running out of everything.
Nurse Hawkins,
Spanish
the
flu.
Spanish flu won't last forever. Even the Black Plague didn't kill everyone.
I wish I could believe you. But what if this epidemic was worse? Was spared.
Okay.
You must get a hold of yourself, nurse.
Sorry, I'm exhausted. No one has any idea when this epidemic will be over.
How is the Pembroke staff coping with the epidemic?
Well, not well. Milton, the ambulance driver, is even more grumpy than usual, especially concerning doctors.
Why is Milton grumpy on a daily basis? Is it just an act?
Milton's not the kind of man who's bothered about a bad reputation, whether he deserved it or not.
Kena apa-apa.
Why does Milton dislike Dr.
No, just ask him. But be warned, Milton...
Hawkins?
Ke panas Hawking. Okay, aku rasa kita tak payah sembang lagi. Ada barang ke? Perlu ke sembang? Ini just macam orang biasa. Buat apa kena sembang dengan orang? Perlu ke? Asal muka dia macam tu? No, tak apalah. Kita sambung je lah. Aku rasa tanya-tanya ni kan nak investigate je. Mungkin nak tengok kesan. Dah sunyi. Semua kena Spanish flu ke ni? Bagus tu, the internet connection quality is currently not. Dia menangis ke? Oh. Oh, okay. Ada lagi ke? Rasa aku pergi kat destination aku tu. Oh, ni semua mati. Jahat sia. Jahat sia dia ni. Curi orang duit. 64 dah, aku rasa aku kena pergi juga kat ni. Oh, aku salah. Terbang. Ya, sekarang ni aku rasa aku kena naik atas lah. Teabag. Ui, mata aku tak nampak je. Teabag, sorry. Macam ni bayar aku nak crouch. Crouch pun aku tak tahu. Oi, kau sembang.
Good evening, Doctor. I believe we're going to be working together.
Dr. Reed. Dr. Swansea informed us of your arrival, but I could not dare to believe we'd have such good fortune. Such an honor, sir.
Aku tekan
Thank you.
L3 dia macam jadi hitam
I
putih.
am Thoreau Strickland, Dr. Thoreau Strickland. I'm a great admirer of your work, Dr. Reed.
Please, could you tell me something about this?
I'm a great admirer of your work concerning blood transfusion, Dr. Reed. I run my own experiments. I'm convinced it's the future.
Muka lelaki ni macam kawan Sebastian tu yang dekat The Evil Within kedua. Yang ni yang pakai spek ni. Siapa nama dia aku lupa bang.
What made you choose to be a doctor?
I'm not ashamed to admit you and your work have inspired me. I am honored to have the opportunity to work by your side.
It's always a pleasure to share scientific and medical knowledge with someone eager to learn. I'll be glad to help you if I can.
This epidemic may be the century's most terrible disaster, but I'm convinced that we, as doctors, are the only ones able to defeat it.
I based my technique on my mentor's research. He helped me perfect my method. What is yours?
I'd rather not talk about it. For now, it's just theories and first approach. My process is purely experimental and unsuccessful.
As long as you're cautious and methodical,
You
you may remain empty-handed, but you won't fail.
You're not the first one to warn me, but I am convinced knowledge is the main weapon against the ravages of this epidemic.
Goodbye, Dr. Strickland.
Ciao. Dah. Bukan kau tadi bawa di sana. Okay, rasa aku kena pergi yang kat, nampak tu, kat atas kan. Macam ada suruh cakap kan. Rasa kena pergi situ dulu lah. Wah, kat luar. Wait, what? Oh, kau boleh berjalan. Oh, ada something. Oh, small bottle. Masa small bottle. Oh, boleh pergi sebelah.
It's locked, all right.
Habis aku nak cakap dengan siapa? Terbang ke atas.
Scowl voices in the garden. I should investigate. If they were to find somebody. Wih, aku lupa naik tak? Wih, chill. Wih, aku tak elak sangat lah. Gigi dia. Okay. Mati lah. Okay, so tu vampire ke apa? Asal ramai sangat ni? Ya. Sorry, aku janji aku tak kacau korang lagi. Wow, dia marah. Wow. Tak boleh masuk balik. Shoot, betul lah.
Asal aku pergi cari pasal dengan dia orang ni. Oi, aku nak darah aku sikit. Okay. So aku sekarang nak pergi kat tempat tu. Aku ingat boleh masuk tempat tu balik. Tapi tak ada. Dia makan apa? The heck is this? Photograph my loving couple with a few words writing on the back. Milton and people forever. Milton and people forever.
So, Mr. Hooks and Nurse Hawkins are an item.
Are an item?
Those two have hidden their affections well.
Bullets? Oh ya. Ui. Oh ya, lupa nak tambah nyawa. Oh, aku ada shotgun shell. Maksudnya kat lagi aku ada shotgun shell. Okay.
I cannot enter.
Wait. No. I mean apa? Buka ocean eh? Oh, sorry. Buka ocean. Find your office on the second. Oh ya, aku lupa. Sorry. Orang nak kena masuk office tu dulu. Aku lupa. Sorry. Ni bilik apa tak? Macam kosong je ni. Macam tak ada orang. Okay. Sorry lah, explore sikit. Tu ada apa? Macam ada barang eh. Lipstick. Apa tu? Lipstick ke? Okay, aku rasa yang cakap tadi tu hanya benda tu je kot. Second floor kan? So aku naik atas ni lah. Dalam bising oh, second floor. Lepas tu bagus juga, tak menyawa dapat oh. Kalau macam ni aku tak faham ni. Range. Kalau yang kiri ni apa? Aku tak pernah beli lagi eh. Unlock. Okay. Dah unlock. Tapi apa benda tu? Apa benda ni lah? Defensive. Oh, tu vampire jugalah. Aku ingat tu. Okay, then defense is easier to kill someone. Something that can move. Berapa? 100. Apa salahnya? Sure dulu. Bite. Okay, semua tu tunggu jap. Science. I really want to cancel. Bukan. Confirm. Sorry. Hampir terkena salah. The following night. Clock status. Wait, what? Clear clocks mati. 30 years old male. Oh, ini bukan yang aku bunuh kan? Hahaha. Okay, bagus dah tahu aku bunuh dia. Tak boleh bunuh dia ni. Dah. Ya doh, aku kena tanya ni semua juga doh. Tak boleh lepas. Tak ada apa-apa dah kan dalam bilik ni. So aku nak kena tanya pesakit-sakit juga. Pesakit lah. Takkan kat atas dia tak ada siapa? Oh, tu ada siapa? Oh, doktor tu ada kat situ. Oh, dah. Something. Okay. Sekejap. You duduk bilik mana tadi? Wait, what? Hilang. Kat atas weh. Oh, tak boleh buka. Okay. So aku pun nak kena tanya pesakit. Oi, kau tak dari mana pesakit? Hi, what's your name? Unknown.
Good evening, miss. I'm Dr. Reed, the new surgeon at the Pembroke Hospital. And who are you?
Your name has no meaning to me, mortal. You're nothing but dust blown by the winds of eternity.
I beg your pardon?
What are you begging for, mortal? My clemency? Well, tonight maybe I'm inclined to mercy. You'll never forget the night you met Thelma Howcroft.
You keep calling me mortal. Why is that? And if I'm mortal, what are you?
Well, Dr. Reed, if you must know, I'm a vampire.
And why do you believe you're a vampire?
I don't need to believe anything. It is what I am. It is what I feel within this hollow shell of flesh.
Please, describe to me how you feel. What is it like to be a vampire?
I can hear my body crumble from the inside as my flesh cracks and fades. I sense the last pulse of postulant blood within my drying veins. I need new blood.
I see. Have you ever heard of Cotard syndrome, Miss Howcroft?
Never.
It's a mental illness discovered by a French neurologist named Jules Cotard. The affected patients are delusional. They believe that they are putrefying, that they are dead, a ghost or a ghoul, or in your case, a vampire.
Delusional, you say? Oh, sad and petty mortal. You can't even begin to understand the concept of immortality. And you think it is I who am delusional.
I'm assuming you must be a patient here. Am I right, Miss Howcroft?
It's only a cover. To hide from my enemies. I can leave whenever I want. As a woman, a spirit, fog, or bat.
Your enemies?
Who are these enemies you mentioned? Can you describe them?
I cannot say for sure. But I sense their eyes on me from nearby. I feel them watching me every time I visit the garden near the morgue.
The staff here are not your enemy. They're here to help you, to care for you.
I'm not speaking of the doctors in white. I'm speaking of the men and women who hunt me. For I am a vampire.
I see. Don't worry. These people will not find you here. I'll personally make sure they leave you alone.
Thank you, mortal. But do not interfere with them, for you are no match for those that hunt me.
Ah. What's the question? Apa yang aku boleh tanya?
Who are you really, Miss Howcroft? I mean, apart from being a vampire.
Is that not enough for you, puny mortal? What do you require? Proof of my powers?
I'm curious to know who you were before becoming a vampire.
No, such a long time ago, I don't remember. Centuries of unholy life can have strange effects on one's minds, you see?
I'll leave you, Mistress of the Dark, to your nocturnal activities.
Okay, aku dah tanya perempuan ni. Nah, aku dah tanya mamat dia tak? Oi, kau dah dari mana? Asal muka kau macam tu?
Good evening, sir. Can I help you?
Unless you're here to fix my face. No. I don't think you can help me.
I'm Dr. Reed. I've recently taken the position of head surgeon here. War injuries, am I right?
You guessed right, Doctor. German shell took my pretty little mug right off. But they still call me Thomas Elwood.
Thomas Elwood.
How is your stay with us, Mr. Elwood?
Oh, it's bliss.
Ni macam kita betul-betul jadi doktor
I just escaped death in the
Tapi ni memang
trenches
doktor,
to be
kan?
surrounded again by the moans of the dying.
Can I ask you precisely why you're a patient here?
It's the pain, sir. The drugs don't work. It just hurts under the scars, if you get my drift.
Can I do anything for your pain?
Nurses gave me a bunch of pills. No effect. Told you. It's like the flames are under my skin, burning away.
Who is treating you? Is someone in particular looking after your case?
Nobody since the old and tired doctor spoke to me. Started to think I was forgotten about. Wouldn't blame you.
You don't seem worried by that.
My face hurts so much more when I smile or cry. I've learned it's easier not to speak. But be assured I'm smiling inside.
Boleh senyum sikit. Sekejap. Asal aku tak ada ni pesanan. Oh, aku ditanya tadi ni.
How close are you to Miss Horcroft? Are you aware that she thinks she is a vampire?
To wait for her next nibble is the best reason to stay here. Every time she approaches my bed, she treats me like something tasty. A normal person.
Aren't you afraid? She may hurt you if the game goes too far.
She's quite harmless, I can assure you. Her head's broken inside is all. Her arm busted on the outside. But she's still beautiful. Living proof that there's hope for me.
Cam aku gila sikit ni
So do you let her bite you? You know that's not sanitary.
And why not? She's only supping a few drops of me blood. And the pain, it's real for once.
She could decide to bite less willing patients.
Then it's another good reason for me to stay here, Doctor.
You do realize she's mentally disturbed. It's called the Cotard syndrome. She truly believes she's a vampire.
In her madness, she never refers to my scars. And frankly, if I could, I'd join her world. It seems much more fun than the real one.
Yeah. Yep. Okay.
Where were you stationed, sir? Did you serve for long?
I really don't want to talk about all this shit.
No offense. I was pushing too much. I served in France myself. I just wanted to know what happened to you.
You were an officer, weren't you? Then I doubt we fought the same war, sir. No offense.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Elwood.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Elwood. Okay, now kita ada mission. But wait. Kita ada duit. Ni apa? And garden of good and evil. Cok. Macam mana aku nak pakai ni? Tengah petak lah. Mana ada? Tengah petak lama. Kau dah tanya. Siapa tu? Asal SV dia.
It's safer here than anywhere else.
Sekejap tu tutup. I'm the doctor. Mau. Dr. Rakesh duduk situ ya. Sekejap, ni bukan aku dah tanya tadi. Oh.
Good evening, madam. Can I help you?
It's my son who needs you, sir.
I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed. How can I help your son?
I'm Beatrice Goswick, mother of Mortimer Goswick. Could you check on him, please, Dr. Reed? I've heard much of your talents as a physician.
What can you tell me about yourself, Mrs. Goswick?
Not much to say. Just take care of my Mortimer and I'll cover all the expenses. That's all that matters.
Are you really that rich? Most of the patients here are of a more humble origin, if I may say so.
Yes, thanks to my husband. May he rest in peace. I can cover any needed medical expenses.
May I ask if you have an occupation, Mrs. Goswick?
I'm a teacher by profession. I teach young women who are more ambitious about their futures than their families.
Nampak tadi.
What do you think of your reception here? Any complaints?
I have had the uttermost reservations about this hospital since we arrived. But we had no other choice, considering the state of emergency.
Is there something in particular that's bothering you?
Some of the staff were not especially welcoming. I suspect they're not accustomed to dealing with patients of such social standing.
Oh.
Tell me more about your arrival at the Pembroke Hospital. What gave you such a bad first impression?
The ambulance driver was quite rude, for a start.
Okay, yang tadi tu.
And that nurse, Miss Hawkins, seems to have quite a dubious attitude.
What do you mean?
She managed to secure a bed for my son despite the epidemic. It was a relief, but it wasn't cheap.
Hawkins, Nurse Hawkins tadi.
She charged you for a bed?
Yes, and I paid without question, considering the urgency of the situation.
I share your concern, Mrs. Goswick. Be sure that I'll talk to the people involved.
I don't expect compensation, Dr. Reed. But I'm aware such behavior would not be tolerated in other hospitals.
So, perempuan tadi jimat lah. Betul.
Goodbye, Mrs. Goswick.
Good evening, sir. Doctor.
Yo, what's up?
Good evening. I'm Dr. Reed. Can I help at all?
No.
Really? Why are you here, then?
I don't want to talk. My throat hurts too much.
I suppose that this pain is the reason you're here. Is someone taking care of you?
Yes. And no.
Could you at least tell me your name, sir?
Mortimer. Mortimer Goswick.
Oh, mak kau kat sana tu lah. Yo. Yo. Kau tak seram tengok muka lelaki ni, Jonathan ni?
Why did your mother have you hospitalized here? She seems convinced this is a bad hospital.
My mother just wants the best for me. She won't rest while I'm here. She'd go all the way to hell and back to help me.
Pembroke Hospital may look unorthodox, but rest assured you're in good hands here.
It's not me you have to convince, Dr. Reed. It's my mother.
Is your mother bothering you? As your doctor, I can ask her to leave you alone if you would prefer.
That's tempting, Doctor. But you have no idea what my mother is capable of. She would tie herself to my bed if you asked her to leave.
How painful is your throat, Mr. Goswick?
So painful I'd rather not talk at all, Doctor.
I'm sure you realize a doctor and his patient have to communicate, sir. Would it help if I gave you some paper and a pen?
Not really.
I see. Then maybe it's not just your throat that hurts, Mr. Goswick. Perhaps your sore throat is just the consequence of something more hurtful.
Yes, maybe. But I don't want to talk or even write about it now.
How painful is your throat, Mr. Goswick?
So painful I'd rather not talk at all, Doctor.
I'll let you
Boleh
get
tak
some
aku tanya
rest.
tu lagi banyak kali kan?
Don't waste your time with me.
Okay then. So doktor lain jangan sembang dia. So tired.
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Reed. May I help you?
I don't know if a third opinion is needed. Your colleagues are already arguing about my condition.
I see. Would you mind telling me more about your situation?
I'm Harvey Fiddick.
Harvey
All I
Fiddick.
want is to get me bloody arm fixed properly.
Asal tangan kau tu?
Are you satisfied with your treatment here?
Well, it's clear that I've chosen a bad time to be injured. Forgive my bluntness, but you seem overwhelmed by cases of the flu.
I won't lie to you about it. I'm afraid we are.
Are you sure you don't want to operate yourself, Dr. Reed? I have the feeling you're very capable, and your colleagues seem to think so too.
In other circumstances, you would be right. But for now, I don't think I can take on the responsibility. My apologies. Tell me about yourself, Mr. Fiddick.
I'm just a regular guy waiting to get his arm fixed, so I can return to work and to my family.
I was more curious about what you were doing before being hospitalized.
I'm a carpenter, and a good one too. But that means I need both arms to feed my family, Dr. Reed.
Tell me about the doctors who are arguing about your case.
Strickland and Ackroyd.
Siapa tu?
They both want the best for me,
Oh,
but there's a
Strickland,
lot
betul.
of pride there. Doctors are no different from carpenters, it seems.
What do you mean?
I often had professional arguments with rivals on a building site. Difference is, I disagreed about wood and nails, not flesh and bones.
Oh, kita ada tanya tu.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Fiddick. I'll see you later.
So, ni problemnya tangan. Ni tadi problem tekak.
Like a book.
Apa tu? Spitalful. Oh, Spitalful tadi. Sama je lah. Ya, aku nak kena pergi mana? Aku rasa dalam balik lah. Office lah aku rasa.
With you at our side, Dr. Reed, I know that Pembroke will prevail and...
Good evening, Dr. Strickland.
And good evening to you, Dr. Reed. Can I be of any help?
Tell me more about your willingness to experiment with new medical techniques.
Harvey Fiddick is a patient suffering from a severe injury that could cripple him if not treated correctly. I'm convinced your blood transfusion technique could help him.
What is it you really want? To save him, or to prove your point?
Fair question. I want nothing but to save my patient, Dr. Reed. Especially since I know Mr. Fiddick's story.
Tell me Mr. Fiddick's story.
Our first diagnosis was compromised because Mr. Fiddick lied to us about the real origin of his injury. He first claimed it was an accident.
But why would he hide such crucial information from us?
Because he is a proud father, ashamed of putting his children at risk because of his own negligence.
Okay, aku dapat lagi.
This personal involvement could also appear to be a lack
Ni
of
lagi tangan tadi.
impartiality. You must know that a good surgeon must remain neutral.
I agree. But that does not excuse Dr. Ackroyd's behavior, a man who did not even take time to converse with his patient.
Do you think keeping his distance was a mistake?
All I know is that I'm taking care of human beings with desires, hopes and fears. Not some biological machine comprised of blood, bones and flesh.
Tak payah lah.
What can you tell me about the Pembroke?
Well, it has always been an honor to work with Dr. Swansea. But with your arrival, I can't think of a better opportunity to learn about blood transfusion.
Do you need help with anything in particular?
Well, yes, maybe. I'm waiting for a batch of products I ordered for my personal research, yet my supplier seems to have vanished.
Do you want me to play the errand boy for you?
Oh no, Dr. Reed. But if you went personally to his shop, what with your reputation and all, he wouldn't dare to refuse the products I need.
I see. Well, give me the address, for I may pass by if I have time. You seem quite optimistic.
New investigation.
It's a rare and precious attitude.
Lepas tu kita pergi situ ya.
I'm convinced that this epidemic is a test. A
Aku tengok
test
map,
of
lagi
endurance and dedication for us men of science.
Questions remain about our capacity to resolve the situation.
True, true. Last summer, during the first wave of the epidemic, I used to joke with Milton about the extra work. We're not smiling now.
Goodbye, Dr. Strickland.
Bring back the wallet to its owner. Sorry, Cam, aku tuna. Ernest William Bigshot blood at the work, apa tu? Workbench. Siap tak? Apa ni? The Nun. Duh, apa ni? Bring back the wallet to its owner. Ah, wallet apa? Aku tak ada dapat wallet apa-apa pun. Ni seorang doktor ni. Lepas tu ini wrong target. Ah, shoot.
So many.
Wait. Sekarang aku nak kena jumpa dia lah. Aku rasa lah. Apa semua aku buat sini?
Good evening, Milton.
Good evening, Doctor. Still trying to save lives?
Of course, duh.
Why do you have such a mediocre reputation among your colleagues, Milton?
Milton.
Fuck them. Nobody knows the horrors I've seen since working here. This city was sick long before the epidemic, Dr. Reed.
I know it's a difficult task, but correct me if I'm wrong. Is this not the job you are paid to do?
I've seen babies left to die while their brothers were properly fed. Underage girls and boys sold to all manner of perverts.
I'm sorry, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, exactly. We lack words. So excuse me if I don't look on the bright side of life. What? The epidemic's over?
I retrieved your wallet, with all the money, and a certain picture.
Well, yeah, Pippa Hawkins is my girl. So what? Is it the difference of skin colour that bothers you?
Not at all, Milton.
Good. Please, take this money anyway. To remind you to keep your mouth shut. Not everybody is as broad-minded as you, Dr. Reed.
Okay, 40. Okay.
I'd like to see your goods.
Wise choice, Dr. Reed. A reliable gun is what everybody needs these days.
Ya, kau jual gun kan, so aku nak beli. So ni shotgun lah. Berapa? 300. Aku 73 je. Wait, aku rasa aku boleh jual something lah. Perlu ke aku jual ni? Bullet tak ya. Sama je kalau aku jual pun bukan dapat apa-apa kan. Ini tak cukup lah. Lead stick, lead root. Mungkin perlu lah. Weapon betul. Perlu ni. Betul. Nah, tak ya. Walaupun kau ada shotgun tapi tak apa lah. Okay, 21 meter dah kita gerak di situ. Kita gerak di situ lah. Aku rasa nak kena pergi atas balik lah. Masuk office aku balik. Oh, dah. Apa ni? Craft. Medicine. Apa tu? Oh, untuk buat benda tu. True. Okay.
William Bishop's blood is much more unstable than human blood and shows extensive mutation. But this is not what happened to me. I must keep on searching. The sun is about to rise. I can feel it. I'll continue tomorrow night.
Sekarang ni aku nak
I have so much time now.
Wait. Dia suruh aku buat apa kat sini? Reset. Wait. Boleh kau share? Aku rasa dia lah. Oh. No. Okay, confirm. Routine. The following night. Esoknya. Tidur lama ya.
If I'm to stay here until my research is complete, I'd better learn to hide my true nature from the mortals. But what about my thirst for blood?
Dr. Swansea asked me to collect you, Dr. Reed. Hurry up!
What is it?
Yes, Nurse Crane? How can I help you?
I'm so sorry. I know Dr. Swansea wanted you to rest, but we have somewhat of a crisis.
A crisis, you say?
Our supply of antiseptics is nearly depleted. I was hoping there was another box up here, but...
Sorry. There's nothing here.
Some of the patients won't last the night without them. Honestly, sir, I'm beside myself.
I may have a solution. In France, during the war, drugs shortage was a daily problem, and we had to use our wits to overcome the shortages.
However do you mean?
If combined correctly, certain household chemical products can be used in a pinch instead. Now, where's the hospital storeroom?
The storeroom? Fat chance. This is the Pembroke, and space is luxury we don't have. Everything used to be stored in the old morgue.
Perhaps I should look there first. Where is this morgue?
It's the large building behind the hospital. You'll need to go in the back door because it's been sealed off for sanitary reasons. Take this key. It opens a small back entrance at the end of a narrow street.
Okay.
The abandoned morgue behind the hospital. A small door at the end of a narrow street. On my way then. Thank you, nurse.
So, kita pergi situ. Tak boleh ke? Oh, tak boleh. Kita tak apa. Tan 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 tan. Tan 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 tan. Mana dia? Kat situ. Okey, tempat ni ada apa bekas segala. Apa tu namanya? Dia tak sama juga.
It's locked, all right.
Ya, aku lupa, sorry. Takkan tak ada. Enter door. Oh. Okey, kat situ. So, dah. Oh, tak ada enemy pun. Oh, ni bagus. Tak ada enemy. Mantap. Dah tiba yo. Kan, macam tu kan. Vampire. Sure. Aku lupa nak tukar aku punya title. Vampire. But yeah. You can heal damage by using an auto ability, drinking human blood or resting. Drinking human blood lah kan. Confirm dia dah haus. Confirm dia dah lapar. Betul tak? Apa ni? Asal ada L tu, R tu. Oh, sebab aku baru beli benda tu Yo, bunyi apa tu? Yo, tadi dengar bunyi tu? Yo, asal seram. Tapi aku vampire. Relax lah. Aku pun vampire. Kau nak nak terbatuk tak? Where is it? Oh, here. So dalam ni tempat vampire lah. Yo, asal kuat sangat bunyi tu? Oh. Shit, sudah. Seekor je ke? Oi. Hehe. Ui, bodoh. Oi, aku baru nak elak. Oh, kau gigit aku. Ha.
Behavior is similar to the infected William Bishop. Must be the same strain. The sickness moves faster than influenza.
Macam tu punya pakai pistol. Kena tekan double tap. Oh, apa ni?
Balls of Mars. Fortifiers. As popular as they are ineffective. But they do contain iron. This key will surely grant me access to the basement.
Underground basement Asal aku keluarkan weapon dia. Oh, patutlah. Aha. Aku nak try something. Apa benda tu? Oh. Oi, dia boleh elak lah sah. Lek ah. Okay, tak apa. Okay. Aku masih tak pandai lagi nak pakai pistol tu. Tak faham sangat. So sekarang ni aku nak kena naik atas. Third floor. Takut. Confirm? Tidak. Oh, dalam tu cover ada lagi kan? What bullets? FC9. Apa tu? Nama orang ni? FC9. Sekarang ni aku nak pergi underground. Tak ada seram sangat sebab aku fire terkejut aku. Kepala otak dia hilang. Dia hilang. Kau nampak hilang. Muhammad tu baru dia hilang. Oh, aku nampak something. Oh, bukan. Okey dah. Kita sambung. Oh, seram banget weh. Yo, what's up, my member?
These skulls feed from corpses and the husks of animals. They're not after blood.
Gigit dia. Bullets. Apa pula Shotgun shot. Oh. Okay. Aha. Kereta aku ni apa pentingkan duit sekali ni? Ni ada passion. Mana tahu dia hidup ke? Apa? Mana hidung ni? That report officer of Samuel Connor.
Mr. Connor's injuration. The sutures are clean, but the chest has been reopened.
Ya, soalan dia aku rasa benda ni dah lama kan. Kenapa?
Traces of a pinkish foam at the corner of the lips. Some sort of drug overdose, perhaps?
Oh, drug overdose.
Multiple abrasions and scarring on the arms and legs. Old and distinctive images of a sailor or a fisherman.
Ya, sebenarnya benda semua dia tu aku.
Over the left lung. Possibly a chest tube insertion.